DNVR Avalanche podcast presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Use code DNVR when you sign up for a new account to get amazing odds boosts every single day. I'm your host, Rudo, joined by AJ Hafley. What's up?
How was post game last night?
It was good. Seeing Jesse again, we had a blast. As much
so much better without me on it.
Let's not get hasty.
I tell you, last night was weird night in the arena, man. It was. Yeah. I wrote about it in my post game piece, but just a weird atmosphere in the building. Like, considering it's like the two teams who tied at the top of the NHL standings last year and then played in the postseason, it was weirdly lacking in energy.
Not a great hockey game. Yeah.
I mean, it was just the game itself was just like not great. And then it was just two teams that just like they clearly don't like each other, but didn't seem to care enough about their dislike to act much on it. And it was like two teams who were like, can we just get this over with?
Ready to be done here.
Yeah. I'm sure your wife has dragged you on errands before and you have to like go to that one place that you absolutely can't stand. For me, it's IKEA, where we go to IKEA and I'm just like grumpy the whole time. And this is stupid. I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
And I'm just like I'm like a miserable asshole the entire time. Both teams were that partner yesterday. They were both just like the miserable asshole who wanted it to just be done.
I think they kind of like shook hands at the start of the game because the Avs were like, look, we don't have Taves and Girard. You don't have Pacioretty and Stone. Let's just get this done.
Pacioretty and Stone and Alec Martinez and Alex Tuck and Nolan Patrick and yo, we can get into dating advice if you guys want.
Oh boy. Probably asking the wrong guy on that one, but you know, AJ might have some good advice for you.
It's true. Rudo was just meet the girl for you in high school and don't ever let her go.
Dated one person my entire adult life, so pretty straightforward for me.
Must be easy.
But I mean, look, yes, I don't think it was a very good hockey game by any stretch of the imagination. Nonetheless, you expect more out of the Avs, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, look, they didn't play well.
Yep.
They didn't play well, but they also played better than Vegas did.
I don't, maybe for the majority of the game, they certainly didn't play better than Vegas in the first period.
They did. I mean, statistically they did, but they made the big mistakes. Like they made the big mistakes and they did not capitalize.
Well, so here's my thing. The Avs have been outshot in their last 4 games in a row. Now, some of that is the Avs just aren't hitting the net with their shots. Some of that is teams like Florida taking a bunch of low-quality ones that are going on net. But however you want to slice it, compared to the ridiculously heavy possession team that they were last season, they aren't even in the ballpark. And I know no one is expecting them to put up the possession numbers they did last year because those are outrageous.
Yeah.
But they aren't even close. They're not even anywhere near a quality possession team right now. They are, we're seeing them get beat when it comes to possession metrics. And I get it. They still generate high quality opportunities and there's still a lot of good things to look at there, but it feels quite a bit harder for this team right now to impose their game plan onto a hockey game.
Yes and no.
Okay.
Look, like I wish we could just erase last year from everybody's memories. It's not the same team. They're not as good. They are not going to put up comical possession numbers like they did last year.
Sure.
And it's just not going to happen. Like, they're not the same group. It's just not the world we live in anymore. And they just don't. I mean, even the things that are working aren't working very well.
Yeah.
Like, Byram Makar has been a revelation, right?
And Makar's kind of just getting by.
Yeah, and Makar's just been all right.
Yep.
You feel like he's on the upswing, but we haven't seen like a Cale Makar game.
Yep.
And with Byram, they all feel like the Bowen Byram game.
Yeah.
The guy's been awesome.
Clicking for sure.
Yeah, and then like they have not their top line obviously had the dominant game in Tampa Bay.
They have scored 1 goal last night, and it was Cale Makar.
Yeah, and with the top line on the ice, like McKinnon got the assist and Byram got the secondary. But like Colorado's top line, if you look at it, Colorado, they helped generate the goal last night. They scored all the goals in Tampa Bay.
Yep.
And then you go back to Florida. They scored the goal in Florida.
They did.
They scored one of the goals in Washington.
Top line was hindered at that point, but yeah.
It was, but one of the goals in Washington. I mean, we were talking about like, hey, the top line's got to get going. It did. And now it's on, you know, we said, hey, the defense needs to activate offense a little bit more.
And
it did. It was better. Last night, the defense was all over the place. Eric Johnson, Brian Murray had easily his best game in an Avalanche uniform. He was all over the place. And Byram and Makar were flying over the zone. And we're helping generate. And none of these guys are finishing. I mean, you've got Nazem Kadri and Andre Burakovsky didn't do anything last night.
Maybe this circles back into my original point, because you look at the Avs shots on goal. The Avs top line had 10 shots last night. Byram and Makar combined for another 5. So that's 15 shots out of the Avs 27 on goal in the game. The top 5, the unit of the top 5 players on the team, when you take Makar and Byram with the top line, had 15 of their 27 shots.
Yeah. I mean, the depth has got to be better. I mean, Kadri and Burakovsky have to be better. They've got to be like JT Compher, Tyson Jost have got to do something, you know. And we expected JT Compher was going to have some dry games because he was 4 points in like 3 games or something.
Yep.
You know, and that was the frustration, is that JT Compher specifically was producing. The top line, and then nobody else really was. And then the top line got put back together, began producing, and then
I mean, are we
everybody else stopped?
Are we talking about a game of inches here, or do you want to see more consistency out of guys like Burakovsky and Kadri? Because Berkey ripped one off the post last night. Are we having a different conversation if that shot is 2 inches lower and it goes in?
Yes.
Okay.
Because
simple.
Yes, because you're talking about results versus what could have been.
Yeah.
If Landeskog bangs home that if he finishes the wraparound, they tie the game, and they had all that momentum. They spent the entire third period leaning on them.
Yeah, I think they handily outplayed that team in the third period. They just couldn't get the goal.
Yeah, and I mean the sense of urgency was there all up and down the lineup. It wasn't like that was top line only. It was that the bench got greatly shortened because they were trying to get that goal.
Yeah. It also got forcibly shortened on the defensive side.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the Jack Johnson thing was fucking stupid.
Yeah, I don't think we really need to have the conversation again beyond that. Should not be a major penalty, but that,
I mean, even calling it a minor penalty that's a bang bang play that you don't want to take. You don't want to take that kind of physicality out of the game.
If you call it a minor because of interference, especially on a review, whatever, fine. Yeah, maybe you didn't quite get the puck or whatever. Fine with it, but there's no universe where that's a major penalty.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, and on review, it's like, what are you looking at?
Mm-hmm.
But they're looking at the fact that the guy got hurt, and they're saying, "Hey, we punish injury in this league." And then he comes back fine and dandy for the third period, and it's like, okay, anytime you ever get hit, no. So what we've learned, you should go down on one knee anytime you are near the boards, and if you get hit, you should always stay down.
So we're pushing to play soccer here, soccer on ice at this point.
So
is what the refs are telling the players.
Yeah, because I mean that's the behavior. That's what they've rewarded so far this year.
Yep.
No, not confident that Makar is 100% healthy, but I don't give a shit.
Plus,
if he's playing, he has to be Cale Makar. That's the bottom line here, is that your best players have to be your best players. It does not matter if you are you 100% every day that you get up out of bed and you go to the office? No. But you are expected to go into your job and be an adult and take care of your business. That's how it is. We all have to do it. If Cale Makar is healthy enough to play, he's got to be Cale Makar.
So that's,
Tyson Jost is taking maintenance days every practice day. He's got to produce. You get him into a game, he's got to play. He's got to produce. If you're so injured that you can't produce, now you should not be in the lineup.
I generally agree. I think it's a problem that you see, especially high-end players in the league, you'd run into a lot, because every player ever is going to tell the coach that he's good to go, basically no matter what. And the question becomes, are you still capable of helping the team if you're at 60, 70, whatever percentage it may be? But with the Avs defense as it is currently, a poorly playing Cale Makar at whatever percentage of health he may be at versus what they have at the bottom of their decor right now, replacing him with whatever it is they end up, I guess it'd be Jacob McDonald at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Not gonna make up the distance,
Yeah.
So,
but I mean, you still, like, if this guy has to be 100% healthy in order for him to be effective. For
sure, he's got to find ways to be effective as he is.
You have to figure this out. You're never going to win a Stanley Cup at that point, then, because you're never going to be 100% healthy in the postseason, and that means you're not going to be effective. Just consider this great practice for the postseason, when he spends the entire postseason getting his hands hacked.
Well, and he scored a goal the other night.
Yeah, he scored a goal last night, and look, like, he played better than he had been.
Yeah,
we're saying is that he just hasn't been
A+ like Cale yet.
Yeah, we haven't seen like the Cale Makar game yet.
I agree.
So far this year, like the one where you're just like, this guy's on a different level.
I agree.
He's been.
I just don't think that's one to really be a stickler on right now. The Avs have significantly bigger problems there.
Oh yeah. No. I'm just saying. I don't. The injury. Oh, is this guy 100%? Is this guy 100%? Like, the guy is playing.
Yeah. So, one, did you know Jack Johnson could fight that well, or does Nick Waugh just suck at fighting?
I think Nick Waugh probably just sucks at fighting.
Okay. Just checking on that one, because Jack Johnson kind of beat the shit out of him in that fight. And the other problem I think the Avs ran into in this hockey game is in the third period.
Bold statement, considering there's no Gerard or Taves. Of course McDonald's playing tomorrow.
You think they'll sit McDermott?
No, they need another body. So
why?
Yeah, I think McDonald plays. Yeah. He's either playing. Right.
Did they not rescind Jack Johnson's extra game?
No, I think Johnson's good to go for tomorrow.
Then they don't need an extra body, right?
Johnson,
I mean, Byron Makar, Murray McDermott.
I think he's either on forward or on defense. I would bet money that Jacob McDonald plays tomorrow.
All right. Regardless of whether McDonald plays or not, my question is, can the Avs continue to put McDermott in the lineup at all? Because we saw blatantly that Jared Bednar does not want to put that dude on the ice. He ended up playing.
I mean, it's weird because he defended him after the game.
I mean, I don't care what he said in his presser. As a defenseman, Curtis McDermott was the low man in time on ice in a game where they were without Jack Johnson for the entire third period.
Well, and they they mentioned, he mentioned, look, a lot of the ice time got shifted just because because they were losing and they were trying to get that goal. And so,
so they're essentially saying
if they're protecting a lead, then McDermott will be on the ice more often than if they're chasing a game.
So if you're down 1 goal, you can't even get 8 minutes out of Curtis McDermott is what I'm hearing.
I mean, look, I'm just telling you what the guy said. And
I hear you.
And look, everybody knows how I feel about it and have felt about it from the second that deal happened. It was dumb. It was bad. He's not a good player. He's not an effective NHL player. He's terrible. He's not done playing. He's gonna be in the lineup again at some point. It could even be tomorrow. But it's gonna happen. Like they're going to continue to make this mistake because there's somebody somewhere in that organization that legitimately feels like there's value here.
I understand that there's somebody that in the org that thinks there's value there, but what is the breaking point? Is I guess what I'm asking, because right now we've seen every game he's gotten in, Jared Bednar has shied away from playing him significantly. His on ice numbers are abysmal in every single category. And I just struggle to see how the organization, whoever it is in the organization that thinks this guy is useful, can continue to find ways to make him useful. Even if the whole team, besides Jared Bednar, it sounds like even Jared Bednar believes in the guy, but he's played 3 games and he has 25 minutes of ice time at 5-on-5. The dude just does not get out on the ice enough to be in your lineup.
Well, he shouldn't. He's horrible.
So I guess I just don't understand the disconnect there as how this dude ends up in your lineup again and again for the head coach to not even use him.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like the only thing that the coach is comfortable using him in is a game where they're up by 3 and there's 5 minutes left.
And that in that case, anybody will do, right? But
yeah.
Anyway, we are brought to you all by Breckenridge Brewery. We'll get to your thoughts in a second. Sorry, AJ. Go check out the Breck beer at the DNVR bar. You can get 8 different kinds on tap down there, or find it at your local liquor store as well. And then hit up Green Mountain Dental Group as well. They're the #1 family dentist in the Denver metro area, just 15 minutes from downtown. When you schedule a cleaning, x-ray, and exam with them, you can get yourself a free Sonicare toothbrush just for taking care of your teeth. So jump on that, get yourself a free Sonicare toothbrush, get yourself some Breck brews, get all of the good stuff you want, and then consider signing up for a DNVR annual membership, as we got good deals going on right now. Tons of content coming your way from the Avs beat, but also the Nuggets, Broncos, you name it. We got you all covered. Even Rockies, if you're into the off-season baseball stuff, check that out too. So get your free shirt along with your annual membership. It's a great deal. You get big beers at the bar, you get access to the DNVR lounge, all sorts of awesome stuff. So yeah, check us out today. Second period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast, presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. I know we've talked about it before, but we're going to have to keep talking about it until it gets better, because the Avs power play may have legitimately cost them the game last night. You look at that game, the Avs go not just 0 on their power play, but a -1 in a game that they lose 2-1.
Yeah.
Not good enough.
Also, amusingly enough, followed the pattern of they called 2 quick ones on Vegas and then swallowed the whistle for the rest of the game.
Yep.
So
not my favorite thing in the world, but
dope.
Great. And I'm going to avoid the conversation of inconsistent reffing. I thought it was there tonight, just like any other night, but we've talked that one out at this point. Your hockey team's just got to figure out ways to be effective in the opportunities that they get.
Mm-hmm.
It's that simple. And the Avs were the very first entry they had in the game was great. It was exactly what we had talked about a couple of days ago or last week, where they didn't slow up. They didn't try to pull up and get set up. They went for a more fast break style entry and got a great opportunity in front of the net.
Yeah.
And Leonard saved it. But
I would be a lot happier. So what I think they need to start doing, I don't have a problem with their entry. It's just that
I mean, their entry was a disaster last night.
They slow up. They stop. The part of their entry is that everybody knows that as soon as they get inside the blue line, they're going to stop and they're going to try and move the puck back to it. And what they need to do for a couple of games is they need to break in to the zone, and they need to get the defenders all moving back.
Press forward.
Yeah. And then as soon as they start to do that, then teams are going to be less willing to stack all of their PK guys right at the blue line and just stand there. Because that's what they're doing, is that they are right now, they are eliminating the entry right at the blue line. So all Colorado either has to do is they have to dump it a couple of times and force those guys to turn and skate, or they have to break in and just keep going. Because it's not doing anything for McKinnon to get in to gain the zone entry and then pull up on the half wall and then move it back along the wall to Makar or something. They've got to continue to push the defense back, because right now the PK is not, nobody's PK is respecting.
Yeah,
respecting
the fact
PKs,
that if you pull up, they're immediately smothered, right? Because you're pulling up right into the defense that was standing at the blue line.
Yeah, and they're not respecting that the Avs might just keep going.
Yep. Because they don't. Other than the first break-in last night, they didn't. The rest of their break-ins, they all
a couple of
rest
entries
of that one breaking at the blue line. But
you either chip it in when you're McKinnon and you've got speed and you're gonna win the foot race to that puck.
Yep.
Or you just carry it all the way in and you go around that dude and you go wide on him and you just all the way around.
Yeah,
that's and because you have to force the team to move, because right now they're just standing still at the blue line and they're just breaking it up and moving it down the ice.
It's another the same thing we say when McKinnon curls even at 5-on-5, right? The Avs are defending themselves. Yeah. So
it's defending themselves. No, I'm not putting. God damn it! No, I am not putting two defensemen on a power play. I'm not doing it.
Yeah, I think we've answered that one enough. But
yeah, what's wrong? I don't understand what's wrong with them. They would kill to have last year's power play again this year.
Yep.
I understand that fans are tired of it and that they think it's all bad all the time and that the power play has been broken and incompetent and blah 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 for years. But you're just wrong. It hasn't been. Last year's power play was really good. If they could get last year's power play, I believe it finished 7th, but it's in terms of generating chances, they were in the top 3 in everything. And then the power play was dominant in the postseason.
8th last year.
So, okay, it finished 8th, and it was at what, like 22.7? Yeah, 22%. Would take that. Right now, would take that.
The year before, they were 19th with 19%.
That one was bad.
The year before that, they were 7th at 22%. And the first year the Avs made the playoffs during this stretch, they were 8th at 22%. So, of Ray Bennett's tenure under Jared Bednar, not including 16-17 for obvious reasons, of the last 4 full years of hockey, they have been 7th, 8th, and then a 19th.
Mm-hmm.
So 3 of the 4 years is a top 10 power play in the league.
I mean, I'd take that. Would you love to have first? Totally. But there's also the reality that like Nathan MacKinnon bombing one-timers is not they don't have an Alex Ovechkin, right? Like they don't have a guy that just sets up and does that over and over and over.
Yep.
You know, Mikko is great. Like Rantanen is an unbelievable shooter and a great player, but their power is in the you know, Nathan MacKinnon's best asset is his wrist shot. Same with Cale Makar. They're both good on the power play, but they're not great on the power play.
It's too early for the Avs to be looking at any trades. I'll put it that way. Thank you for the super chat, though, Colton. The Avs' second power play goal sums up exactly why their power play can be so dangerous, I think. When that team gets into the zone and gets set up and runs plays that they want to run, they have too many guys that the defense has to respect.
Yeah.
You put Cale Makar at the point. You can't just let that guy walk in. You put Mikko on the far side. You can't just let that guy have the puck. You put MacKinnon on the other side. You can't just let that guy have the puck. And all of a sudden, there's too many guys to cover for a penalty kill that only has 4 players on the ice. You see, as I said, the Avs' second power play goal of the season, the defenders had to commit to Mikko. They had to commit to Cale. They had to commit to Landy driving the net. And all of a sudden, MacKinnon slides into the soft spot and you score a goal. So you need, particularly off the puck, you need the Avs to be doing effective things in the zone that make defenders pay attention to them. You have to be able to help the puck carrier a little bit, that they can't just double team the guy with the puck all the time. Or if they are double teaming the guy with the puck, somebody should be wide the hell open.
Yeah. And a power play feeling predictable is fine for me. You do what you do. Almost all power plays are predictable. You think the Caps have been disguising what they've been doing with Ovechkin for 15 years?
Yeah.
You know, you think Edmonton's really reinventing the wheel with Draisaitl and McDavid? When you have elite players, you just let them do stuff, you know?
Again, predictability is fine as long as you're keeping defenses honest.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like you have to throw wrinkles at them. Your same basic setup is fine. You do what you do. You have an identity and you just keep doing your thing. But there've got to be wrinkles. You know, that's why the zone entry sometimes has 2 guys in the back.
Yep.
You know,
why double drop pass instead
yeah,
of just one,
exactly. They you know, all the teams, every team in the NHL does a version of the drop pass, and they all have their own little wrinkle that tailors to their teams. And with MacKinnon is a zone entry monster. It needs to be MacKinnon, and he needs to go. He's got to make better decisions.
Yep. It's clear to me, at least, that there's no one else on the Avs that come even close to the zone entry abilities of Nathan MacKinnon.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you look at how Burakovsky's zone entries are just like, well, like they would be better off having that guy dump it 1 step outside the blue line when he has speed.
Yep.
But when it comes to MacKinnon, and he just needs to, he needs to do it better.
Yep.
He needs to do it better, because you're looking at their decision making.
Yep. Isn't
good, and they're too strictly adhering to the creativity is being cut off.
Yep.
And you just can't.
They're stuck in the mud a little bit, for sure.
Yeah, it's always the worst. It's always the worst when you're slow out of the gate.
Well, I think
because then everything is bad and everybody should be fired.
Yeah, I'm not listening to anyone saying anyone should be fired at this point.
I do love the idea, though, that the guy, the coach that's out there that's going to fix Colorado's power play is a dude who on October 27th is unemployed in the hockey world. I love that idea.
Well, I think your last point goes beyond the power play too. They need to execute at 5-on-5 significantly better as well.
Yeah. I did grades last night, and I gave all of the top line guys good grades.
Yep.
But as a group, they were very clearly still a little out of sync.
Look, I get Vegas played the majority of that game in a very specific way that involves them packing the box, and it makes it hard for the Avs to get clear shooting lanes. But you're talking about, I could pick out 10 times in that hockey game where an Avs forward cuts to the middle of the ice, is in the high slot, and not only does he not take a shot, but he skates himself right into the corner and the play dies. And you just can't do that in the NHL. Certainly not that often. You're turning over the puck and not generating a quality opportunity from a quality area on the ice. It's just not good enough.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that guy needs to shoot it every time, but he needs to make a decision with the puck that at least continues a quality possession for the hockey team.
Yeah.
So thank you for the super chat, Pink King. Much appreciated. Look, there's a lot of things the Avs could do better. We can continue talking about it in a second, but we are brought to you all by StravaCraft Coffee, the CBD-infused coffee that has really changed lives. You can get it at StravaCraftCoffee.com, 25% off when you use code DNVR25 at checkout. So get on that, get a great deal there. Have it as your morning coffee, wake you up, and take care of any aches and pains you might have. Then hit up Chevalier Mortgage. Both Mike and Virginia have been in the business for a very long time here in Colorado. They got you covered. Whatever you might need, they're super awesome. Look, I know the housing market is actually insane right now, so it's really tough to navigate. Mike is a certified financial planner that can help you find the exact right thing for you to do. And even if you already own a home with prices going up, it's creating natural equity. If you have a mortgage insurance, there's a good chance that you can refinance out of that and make the bubble work for you. So you can reach these guys at dnvrmortgage.com or call Virginia directly at 303-257-6578. Hit them up. You have a chance to win some free DNVR merch as well. Get a free consultation on a home loan or anything involving looking to get some money out of your own home. Michael Chevalier, NMLS 1931006. Virginia Chevalier, NMLS 1910631. And then hit up DraftKings. Maybe you want to make a little bit extra cash on the side. DraftKings Sportsbook is a great way to do it and have some fun doing it. They have amazing odds boosts every single day. But going on right now, all you have to do is sign up for a new account with DNVR. Bet $5 on any NFL team to win their next game. And if they do win, you get $200 in free bets. So that's just $200 to play with. And all you have to do is bet against the Dolphins this week. And then you get $200. So check them out. Go get your $200 in free bets. Be sure to check out their same game parlays. Those are always fun to really boost your odds if you think a handful of things are going to hit in a single game. And then we'll be doing our own little thing, starting probably not this Saturday, but Saturday after that. We're going to start our little Saturday slate of bets. Should be fun.
I'm excited for that.
I know. It's gonna be hard to hit one, but someone's gonna do it. I have a good feeling. It's not going to take too long for someone to hit the Super Saturday slate. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code DNVR to get that bet $5 to win at $200. If they win, you can get $200 in free bets. I already said that. Of course, DNVR code, you have to use it. DraftKings is an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Must be 21 or older, Colorado only. Other terms, restrictions, and conditions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem, call 1-800-522-4700. All right, third period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast, presented by that DraftKings Sportsbook. AJ, we saw some different lines at practice today. Do you think that's the answer? Do you think a little bit of a shakeup can get things going?
No. I mean, I don't think it'll last long anyway.
I don't think it will either, but I have no doubt Bednar's just looking for a little bit of a spark offensively, right?
Yeah.
So if Berkey on the top line can get him going a little bit, if something sparks in that middle six,
Yeah, I mean, Landeskog, Kadri, and O'Connor is such an interesting trio. Our O'Connor doesn't have very much puck skill.
Yeah.
But the energy is there and the effort is honest every night. And he gets after it, So
if he's just running around disrupting things and you let the other two guys do the heavy lifting, that's
he's doing the Alexander Burrows next to the Sedin twins kind of thing. Where he just he needs to just go be the crash test dummy and run into a bunch of people and pop pucks loose and see how it goes.
Yeah,
I don't think that's a long-term solution, but I think it'll be fun for a couple of shifts.
I mean, you're right. I think that's by period 2, we might see the lines back to normal on that one, but
yeah,
I don't think it's something that's going to last particularly long. The other conversation here is, do we start talking about bringing Alex Newhook back to this lineup at this point?
Yep.
Because, I mean, you can start with the Couts and Megnas of the world that clearly aren't producing any.
Pick one, dude. Count, Megna, Ranta. Well, most have already got cut.
That's the point I wanted to get into. Like, you have Count and Megna, who clearly on the Avs depth chart seem to be a step behind Ranta, but Ranta hasn't produced any offense either. Yeah. So you have essentially an entire line of guys that you have gotten nothing out of. And that is a different line than what was the Helm O'Connor Jost line, which you're also not expecting to get any offense out of.
Yeah. No, I don't miss Gabe Bork.
Yeah, no. Definitely not.
Gabe Bork
would fit right in this bottom six, not scoring any points. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But they cannot continue like this. You cannot have half of your forward core with the expectation that they're just not going to score ever. Right? So the Avs want to start scoring goals. They need to either find something that works there or try something different. I don't know if that's Newhook. I don't know if that's Shane Bowers. It could be Kiefer Sherwood for all I care. But something's got to work, right?
Yeah. I mean, you got to find a solution at some point. You can't just continue to drift.
Yep. With
these guys,
Yep.
And that's just where I don't get it. Hey, you guys, Alex Newhook's not exactly torn it up in the AHL, and you guys want to make him the second line center? I mean, come on.
You also can't. Kadri can't play wing. Like, this is proven with this team that Kadri does not function on the wing. But
yeah, for the because we've got people who are like, oh, just see what happens. Okay, well, that's what they've done with Sampo Ranta. This is what happens. You don't get anything out of it. The guy doesn't do anything.
Well, and I'm okay with the way they've utilized Sampo Ranta, but you're 6 games into the season, you're 2-4, and Sampo hasn't really given you anything. So go give Newhook the next 6 games. That's kind of how it works. But granted, getting Val Nichushkin back, I think, will make a lot of this bottom 6.
I mean, it certainly helps because at least you get a competent NHL player at that point.
I mean, you get a competent NHL player, and the number of dudes that are going to be playing over their head is lessened by that, right?
Yeah. I mean, when you get that guy, and then you can move everybody down into either appropriate roles, and you start to limit the number of these black holes that you have in your lineup.
Yeah.
It does strengthen you a little bit. But right now they've got, they've just got to, like, these guys have to look at, Bednar said something last night in his post-game presser about Bo and Byram flipping the switch at the start of the season. And he said, look, he's the example that the other young guys should be looking to. He wasn't great in the preseason. He didn't do much in exhibition games. We talked to him a whole bunch, but that guy, as soon as the game started to count, found a way to be an impact player.
Yep.
And put his best foot forward and broke out of his comfort zone and pushed himself to his limit. And just kept pushing himself and kept holding himself to a certain standard. And we're seeing the result of that right now. And he's basically saying, look at all these other young guys that are in the lineup. And you got Sampo Ranta, Martin Kaut, Mikhail Maltsev. These guys, there's accountability here. You look at Mikhail Maltsev in New Jersey last year, got away with whatever he wanted, right?
Yep.
No big deal. Just wanted to get him in the NHL. Didn't hold him to a certain level of play. Well, guess what, dude? You're on a team that's trying to win a Stanley Cup. There's a different standard day in and day out in the Avalanche locker room right now. And that's evidenced by the fact that a guy like Maltsev was one bad game, and instead of everybody just being like, bummer, they cut that dude. They sent him down and they said, get your head right. I mean, there's a standard that they're attempting to set here, and we're not seeing these young guys live up to it. They're getting chances. Are they getting an abundance of ice time? No. But they're getting, Shane Bowers would cut a bitch for 7 NHL minutes right now.
Yep.
And we're just not seeing these guys take enough of advantage of it. Ranta, Kaut, Maltsev, the Jason Magna is just sort of there, but he's the outlier there. He's the anomaly.
Yeah.
You're just not seeing good enough from these young guys. And, I'm all for bringing Newhook up and giving him a look and all that, blah, blah, blah. See, sure. But you've got to do it realistically. You're not going to just drop that guy into your top 6, move Nazem Kadri around it. Come on.
I'm not saying you should, full YOLO the kid, but
no,
I'm saying
you and I are on the same page. Like, if he needs to, I have no problem if they wanted to bring him back and they want to give this dude a look, a consistent role, something.
I mean, it's not
fine.
There's no big secret here, right? Everyone knows that the Avs forward core, particularly beyond the top line, has not produced enough through 6 games this season. So if you bring in Newhook, the message is very simple. Play your ass off, score some points, and you'll stick.
Yeah. I mean, even if you don't score some points, generate chances, don't make mistakes defensively.
Yep.
Lay the body, play physically, make yourself noticeable in some fashion. Like, I genuinely don't think that Martin Kaut has played poorly. I think he's been fine.
I agree. I think he's been a solid player.
I think he's been better than Sampo Ranta, who looks horrible defensively.
The problem with Sampo is he's never going to be an effective player on the defensive side of the puck, and he's brought you virtually nothing offensively.
Right. And I mean, look, hey, if Leonard doesn't stop him on the doorstep last night and he scores his first goal, then hey, we're talking about him taking steps forward. But
he did stop him.
He fought through adversity and this and that, but instead nothing changed.
Yep.
If we lived in a world where the things that we wanted to happen happened all the time, we wouldn't be in the world that we're in.
Avs would have won a cup a while ago at that point.
I mean, it's, everybody would win the cup every year.
So, for sure. It's not, and with the Avs forward depth this year, I don't think there's really a super easy answer to this question. It's not like, oh, here's a guy that they can just drop in and it will make them significantly better outside of maybe Newhook if he's playing well.
Yeah, and this is the issue. Like, my concern is what happened. Because Alex Newhook he was great at WJCs last year. He had his moments at BC.
Yep.
It was not a dominant season for him. There were some games where he was much better than others.
Yep.
But I was happy to bin those because he kicked ass in the AHL. Now, a lot of his points were power play points, but it was just him beating goaltenders. Right. It wasn't like cheap points.
And even in
he was just beating goaltenders.
He just looked better than everyone.
Yeah, I mean, he played well, and then he rolled into Colorado's lineup and looked about as comfortable as you could ask a guy to look in that role in the postseason. And then this year, just it felt like a big step back in every facet for Newhook. So it's fair to wonder. And I know Evan was saying this on Twitter the other day that I think the Avs were expecting more out of Newhook, and they didn't have a backup plan when Newhook didn't look very good.
Yeah, I think I'm with you on that. The problem is now they've screwed around for 6 games trying a bunch of dudes in that spot, and none of those have worked. So is it time to let Newhook try to work through it at the NHL level?
Yeah, I mean, it's not like he's been great in the AHL. So
I hear
it's been all right.
But when you look at your other options, he may still be the best one.
Yeah. Oh, I think he is. But I am simultaneously happy and surprised that they just keep rolling with the Sampo Ranta thing instead of Dylan Sakura.
Yeah.
I'm happy that they're letting the kid see what's up, because this is the thing that teams usually don't do, especially teams that fancy themselves as high-end contenders.
Yeah.
So it's I like seeing that part of it, but also you've got to start getting answers here.
And those are 2 different conversations, right? Replacing Sampo Ranta with Alex Newhook is still giving a look to a prospect. Replacing Sampo Ranta with Dylan Sakura is very much we're falling back on the veteran guy who's going to be invisible for 6 minutes, and that's that.
Well, and to be honest with you, if this keeps up, it's a justifiable decision. You've got to do something.
Yeah,
you have to try something else.
I'm okay with trying things. There's just a way I would prefer them to try it, because I think there's significantly more upside in not going with the veteran guy.
Yeah.
But
there is, but also like we say that there is, but we haven't seen it.
Yeah.
Like if you look at Sampo Ranta and you say, oh, well, there's more upside in Sampo Ranta than Dylan Sakura, but you look at 6 games played and you say, where is it?
Well, and that's part of the process, right? Is if the upside doesn't show up, you need to do something.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. Like, we're getting to the point here where they've got to start making a decision on, okay, hey, this hasn't worked with Sampo. This hasn't worked with Kaut, the whatever. Sampo's the guy that I'm using as the example because he's played all the games and he's gotten all the opportunity.
Yep. Well, and there's nothing saying they can't do a rotation. Say they bring Newhook up in Sampo's spot for a little bit and Sampo goes to the Eagles. If all of a sudden Sampo is destroying the AHL again, you can bring him back. It's not a final decision or anything.
Yeah. I would also say that I don't see this forward group winning a Stanley Cup either. But the fun thing is that when you have young players, your hope is that they get a lot better throughout the season and that the group that you have in October is not the group that you have in May.
Yep. I mean, that was always the plan for this.
Yeah, that was always going to be the case this year. It was going to be a bumpy road for some of these guys out of the gate, and that you had to live through the growing pains, and that's what we're seeing right now. What we didn't expect was for, Andre Burakovsky to have 2 points in 6 games.
Yep.
He's got to be better than that.
Agreed.
And then 4 points in 10 playoff games. Now 2 points in 6 games to start the year. He's got to figure it out.
Contract year for him too. Time to wake up.
Same thing with Kadri. It's not that Colorado is a one-line team. It's that the guys that they are paying to be on their second line, one of them got hurt in Nichushkin. And then the other two, the two that you're truly relying on as your second line guys, have not produced that way so far. And I've liked Kadri's engagement this year. I loved his game last night in a lot of ways because Vegas went after him hard.
And he just took it.
And he did. Braden McNabb smoked him, and he got up and he went to the bench. And he got McNabb later, smoked Braden McNabb in return, and it was all good, clean fun. It was just good, hard hockey. And he was involved in a lot of scraps throughout, but didn't cross any lines, didn't take any bad penalties, teams have been coming at him this year because they know that he's on the razor's edge of a 30-game suspension if he does anything out of line.
Yeah. Well,
and he's having to walk that line really carefully, and I think he's doing a good job. I think he's engaged. Look, man, you just got to produce. You got to find ways to produce.
If Kadri is playing like that and Berkey is producing next to him, you love that line. But the reality is Berkey is not producing nor playing particularly well next to him, and the Avs just lost the game 2-1.
Yeah.
So if Berkey's not going to do it, Kadri needs to for that second line.
But when you look at it, it's like, when is the last time that line actually produced a goal? Like, together?
It's been a minute.
So,
because it wasn't the win against Tampa. It wasn't the Florida goal, so it was some nothing goal against Washington, probably.
Washington,
even that was a Helm goal and a Comfort goal.
Yeah.
So
that was Helm, Comfort, and then the power play goal at the very end.
Yep.
That didn't matter.
So you have to go all the way back to the St. Louis loss for a Berkey goal. It's 4 straight games with 0 points from your second line.
Yeah. That's just not acceptable.
Yep, it's not good enough.
It's just not acceptable. Like, we're talking about the kids and this and the depth and this but I mean, you've got 2 guys who are in contract years on your second line not doing anything for you. And then, I mean, the same thing. Like, I understand Tyson Jost nursing an injury because he's got a maintenance day every single time that they are not playing. But look, if you're playing in the game, you've got to find a way to produce.
Yep.
The St. Louis game can't be it.
Yep.
And there have been moments, but there was the Tampa Bay game. Broke in on the 2-on-1, wide open shooting lane, tried to force a pass.
Yep.
The game last night, you could see there were a couple of different moments where he got involved offensively. Nothing came of it.
That's the end of the day. The only thing that matters is the results, right?
Like, I think Tyson Jost has been the Tyson Jost that we saw last year for the most part. The process is good. He's driving play. He's very good defensively. He's taking care of business. He's doing good work. He's not producing. He has to produce. Yeah,
right now, this is true of pretty much every Avs forward. So they have to find a way to produce. And not all of them are going to find it, but some of them need to. The Avs have scored more than 3 goals once so far this season, and they have multiple games where they've scored only 1. It's not enough. And look, if you're looking for a positive note, Darcy Kemper gave him a chance to win that game last night.
Darcy Kemper's put together 3 good games in a row. 2 good games in a row.
He only gave up 2 goals to Vegas. I said it on the pod the other night. If you're a goaltender and you give up 2 goals, you feel like you should at least get a point out of that game, if not a win.
Yeah, and I mean, Kemper, because they got down so quickly 2-0, he spent the entire game in a high stress environment because you give up that 3rd goal
and it's done.
That it's pretty much game over in the NHL.
Yep.
And he kept them in it. That entire time. Like, Kemper has very quietly been good.
Yeah, I agree. So there are some positives here, but you got to put the puck in the net to win hockey games.
Yeah, you got to score, man. And look, they were slow scoring out of the gate last year too.
Yep.
There was a lot of the same cats. The second line with Brandon Saad took 2 or 3 weeks for them to get going. And then they dominated for like a month straight, but it took time for that line to get going.
So maybe now's the time to start getting guys going with St. Louis on Thursday. Look, the Avs are 2-4. Last year they started 2-3-1. It was just fine. In 1995 and 6, they started 2-3-1, and we all know how that ended. So,
let me ask you.
Sure.
Are you? Would you consider a big shakeup right now? Whether that be a coach firing or a trade of a player?
I wouldn't fire a coach for sure. Wouldn't even touch the coaching staff. Yes, that would be insanely reactionary and unnecessary.
Okay.
Look, any player trade is going to depend on the player and the price, right? Like, you never say no to a good deal. But
okay.
Am I going out and actively hunting down a trade that I want to overpay for? No. I don't think we're not at a stage of panic yet, right?
Getting pretty close. I mean, 2-4. 2-4 is when you play good. 80. When you play 82 games, it's like, come on, 2-4.
We posted the season at a glance graphic the other night on the Avs
How
Twitter
funny
account,
was
and it
that?
was like, that is a lot of empty spaces on this graphic.
That was a lot of games.
Yeah. So I think it's the same thing we said a couple shows ago. They have St. Louis and they have Minnesota to end up the month. If they're 2-6, yeah, some alarm bells are going off. If they're 4-4, you're fine.
Yeah, I mean, if they're 4-4 and you've won 2 games in a row, you're like, okay.
Yeah.
Like, they salvaged this. This is okay.
It's just really hard for me to push any panic buttons before the end of October. That's all. The end of October, you've played 8 games. Your season is basically 10% done. Still a small sample size, but you have something to work with then. That's when you can say, all right, let's take a real look at this. See if there's a way we can tangibly improve the team by doing something.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't panic just yet. We'll leave it at that. Come have fun at the DNVR tomorrow. Hopefully we see the Avs show up and throw down in St. Louis.
Be fun to give them their first loss of the season.
Yep. They're down O'Reilly.
They still have David Perron, though, so that's a hat trick.
Yeah, guaranteed goal against the Avs there for sure. In any case, AJ, any final thoughts for you, or are we out of here?
Tomorrow's not a watch along, is it? Tomorrow's just a regular old. Okay. When is our next watch along?
I think it's the Minnesota game, but I'm not 100% sure.
Is it? Okay.
I'd have to ask the schedulers on that one.
Yeah. We're the ones that sent them the schedule. I also don't remember what we sent them.
Yeah, me either.
Okay, cool. No, I'm excited for the game tomorrow. I think I feel good about it, but
me too. Not that means anything. So
yeah, I feel good about the Florida game too.
Well, one way or another, we'll find out. So we hope to see y'all at the bar tomorrow. We'll be live post game as we always are. Hope to see you. Till then, we love you. We'll talk to you later.